So I've heard players say, including myself, I feared Mike. I've heard players in your generation say they feared Kobe. I've never really heard any players say they fear LeBron.
And then like the generation, they talk so much shit about the game today.
Yeah.
And it makes you go back and watch the game back then. And it makes you not even want to appreciate it no more like I did when I was a kid. Like, it was like.
These are the moments when Shaquille O'Neal openly challenged LeBron James' legacy, his toughness, his impact, and his claim to greatness. For more than 10 years, Shaq has been saying things the modern sports media rarely repeats. And what he shared in March 2024 shook the basketball world. This isn't about tearing LeBron down. Let's make that clear. What we're looking at is why one of the most dominant centers in NBA history, someone who actually played alongside LeBron, still won't call him the greatest of all time. Once you hear what Shaq said about fear, killer instinct, and the difference between LeBron and the legends who came before him, you'll understand why many fans who lived through the Jordan and Kobe eras remain unsure. In March 2024, Shaq made a comment on his podcast that sent LeBron's supporters into a frenzy. During an episode of The Big Podcast with former teammate Mario Chalmers, Shaq dropped a line that struck right at the center of the GOAT debate. And once he said it, there was no taking it back.
So I've heard players say, including myself, I feared Mike. I've heard players in your generation say they feared Kobe. I've never really heard any players say they fear LeBron.
And when people pushed him on it, Shaq didn't back down for a second. LeBron tried to respond on Instagram by bragging that his streak of double-digit scoring games lasted longer than Shaq's entire career. It's a nice little stat, but it has nothing to do with the real issue. Players don't fear him. And whether fans want to admit it or not, that matters a lot when you're discussing who the greatest player of all time really is. Mario Chalmers, who won 2 titles with LeBron in Miami, went even deeper on this point. He explained exactly why players never feared LeBron the same way they feared Jordan or Kobe, and what he said spoke volumes.
I didn't think players really feared LeBron like they did Jordan.
I never heard anybody say it.
And it's not that you shouldn't fear Bron. I just think at the end of the day, Bron has been through so much that he wanted to be liked. So it was kind of like,
he is a nice guy.
Yeah, I'm going to do things now where like people like me, people respect.
LeBron always wanted to be liked. That sounds good on the surface, until you compare it to Jordan and Kobe, who didn't care about being friendly. They wanted to beat you, break your confidence, and make you dread guarding them. Respect and popularity weren't their goals. Dominating you was. Back in November 2011, Shaq released his memoir Shaq Uncut, and the criticism didn't start in 2024 like many people think. What he wrote about playing with LeBron in Cleveland during the 2009 to 2010 season was shocking, and it's the kind of thing people rarely bring up today. Shaq explained that head coach Mike Brown treated LeBron with extreme caution. In Shaq's words, Mike Brown was a nice guy, but he had to walk on eggshells because nobody was supposed to challenge LeBron. The whole organization was scared he might leave Cleveland, so he was allowed to do whatever he wanted. The team was so worried about keeping LeBron happy that he ended up with his own set of rules. And that's a problem when you're trying to build a real championship culture. Shaq even described a moment in a film session. LeBron didn't hustle back on defense after a missed shot, and the coach said nothing. But on the very next clip, Mo Williams made the same mistake, and suddenly Mike Brown jumped all over him. Yo, Mo, we can't have that. According to Shaq, Delonte West finally spoke up and said, everyone has to be accountable, not just some of us. But nothing changed. LeBron was untouchable. Now imagine Jordan or Kobe getting that kind of treatment. Imagine Phil Jackson watching them skip a defensive assignment and just letting it slide. It never would have happened. They would have been benched immediately. But with LeBron, the rules were always different. Shaq also questioned LeBron's performance during the 2010 Eastern Conference Finals and the 2011 NBA Finals. And his words carry weight because he was there. There's no question in Game 5, LeBron just wasn't himself. I always thought he could flip the switch anytime, but he didn't. Not against Boston in 2010 and not against Dallas in 2011. It was strange. Shaq pointed out one moment that still frustrates fans today. I'm watching him against Dallas, and he gets a wide-open shot. Instead of taking it, he dishes it to Mario Chalmers. That made no sense. These aren't comments from a random critic. This is coming from someone who played with Kobe and LeBron and knows what a championship mindset looks like. When Shaq compared coaching the two, he wrote, "I don't know if Kobe would ever listen to Mike Brown. LeBron never really did. And one thing is certain, Kobe would definitely be in charge." That wasn't praise for LeBron. It was Shaq saying Kobe had the leadership edge that LeBron never quite developed. Then came June 2015. Shaq was on the Dan Patrick Show, and when he was asked directly to choose between Kobe and LeBron, he didn't hesitate, didn't pause, and didn't soften his answer. He picked Kobe immediately.
What about Kobe and LeBron in their prime?
Well, I'll play with both of them, and Kobe has that killer instinct, and I'll probably have to go with Kobe.
Killer instinct keeps coming up for a reason. It's the trait that separates great players from the rare ones who define entire eras. It's what pushed Jordan to take every final shot, no matter how his night was going. It's what drove Kobe to score 81 points because he refused to accept losing. That's the level of mentality people are talking about. During an ESPN event in Hong Kong that same year, Shaq expanded on this idea, and what he said made the difference crystal clear. He explained that young LeBron reminded him more of Magic Johnson, sort of like Magic with Jordan's physical gifts. LeBron loved to pass, set up teammates, and keep the offense moving. But when Shaq talked about Jordan, he simply said, Mike was Mike. He was just special. And that comparison says everything. Shaq placed LeBron closer to Magic than Jordan. Magic is easily a top 5 all-time player, but he's not in the GOAT debate with Jordan. And in Shaq's eyes, neither is LeBron. Then came June 2021, when LeBron publicly complained about the NBA's tight schedule after several stars dealt with injuries. Shaq didn't hold back. He made it clear he wasn't buying LeBron's argument at all.
You're making $30 million, 80 games is good enough.
All right, 2 more things real quick. Go ahead.
So you want me to pay you $30 million to play 30 games? Hell no.
Right.
No. 80 games is fine because I did it. Jerry West did it. Kareem did it. Magic did it. Bird did it. Bernard King, like all the great legends before us did it.
That's the generation gap spelled out in simple terms. Jordan played all 82 games without making a fuss. Shaq did the same and dominated night after night. They didn't sit out for rest or complain about the schedule. They suited up, handled their business, and let their performance speak for them. No excuses, just results.
Couldn't believe that an NBA player could make $1 million. And now these guys are so lucky and blessed, and they can't play basketball 3 or 4 days a week. And I know they hide behind all the analytical bullshit from their agents and people like that. What they're really trying to do is extend their career. The way the money's been and going, it depends on who you are. You're going to be able to make another $50, $70, $100 million and probably more going forward if you can extend your career 2 or 3 years.
I think the greatest player is Michael Jordan. LeBron is about to do something that hasn't been done in a long time. But for me, it's always Dr. J, Michael Jordan, Magic, and those guys.